Okay, can everybody see the screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. As you all know, you are here at the Rural Community Health Worker Network monthly webinar. Let's see here. I will start with reminders, updates, and questions. The CHW store is live, and now is the perfect time to place your order to get it in time for the holidays. I know I promised you guys I was going to have some new materials in there. I may or may not get them in this week. If they're still a work in progress. So with that said, hopefully they will be there. As you know, we are always promoting our memberships and renewals. We do a referral reward program. If you refer a colleague, coworker, friend, neighbor, CHW from another organization that you just happen to know, and they put in that they were referred by you and you let me know, you will get a surprise from RCHWN in the mail. Memberships are $25 for the network, $25 for supervisor, and $50 if you do both. Kind of a little liaison. Our CHW is always looking to share who we are and how we can partner, collaborate with other CHW organizations and associations, either through education, sharing of the IMCHW storytelling, and or just networking to grow the CHW sustainability and share knowledge to our communities on who you all are and what you do. As a reminder, make sure to follow us on social media for fun giveaways. The month of December, we are going to be doing the 12 days of Christmas. And there's going to be all kinds of fun, different interactive things to do to win prizes in that. Also, as a reminder, make sure that you add information rchwn.org as a trusted sender so you don't miss out on any of the reminders. Since we started using MailRite, I see that some of them have gotten kind of shoved into the spam folders at some places. So I wanted to remind that. I would like to introduce to you all today our speaker. She represents herself as I am tenacious. Her name is Erica Carrillo. She is from Texas, rural Texas. I had the gift and honor of meeting her in person at our annual retreat in Gulf Shores, Alabama. She is newly one of our board members, as well as a member of RCHWN. I will let her talk more about who she is. She actually tells her story better than I do. So without further ado, I will get her slides going.
Good morning, everybody. So today we're going to talk about burnout, whether it's home or work. It all just, progressively gets mixed and you don't know what's what sometimes. I've always said I've been a CHW since I was 11 because my mom used to lend me out to translate. We lived in North Carolina and there was hardly any Hispanics. So when you did find one, you would, they would become automatic family. So she would lend me out to translate since I was 11. So I would learn a lot, from medical appointments, just different things. So it's funny because when you're doing service as a community health worker, sometimes it's just in our nature to do it. And we do not consider it work sometimes. So all that together, it's just what you do, but we do so much of it that some of us do not even consider if we're stressed out or if we're burned out because it's just what we do, right? So this, I'm a Mama First, Tips for CHWs and Their Home Life was presented at Nashua Unity Conference. Julie St. John is the one that put this together, and I helped her present. Next slide, please. So we have nothing to disclose. Next slide. There is a pretest you can take if you would to scan that QR code. And then there's a post test. If you want CEUs, please fill those out and let me know. If you don't need them, then you certainly do not have to do that. Next slide.
Hey, quick question. I just tried to do that
Yep.
CEU thing for the pretest, and it says it's not active, just so you know.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I did too. Same thing.
Okay. So the previous picture you had seen was Dr. St. John's family, and it was really funny because when we were asked to show pictures, um, family pictures, or if we wanted to put some kind of picture, we did not get together on this, and we both sent in wedding pictures, which we thought it was really funny. But Dr. St. John is the one on the corner with the black skirt, holding the baby, and that's her family. She has all those are her kids. And that will come into play here in a minute. Next slide. So these are my kids minus the bride. Well, she's now my daughter-in-law too, but and then there are 2 children missing from this picture. And then that will come into play as well. So next slide. So one of the questions that we started out here was, how many children do y'all have? So I have 6, and you can either put it in the chat or you can speak out. Okay, Rebecca has 3, 4, 2, 0, 3 and 8 grandchildren. Wow, okay. 1, 2, 4 grandchildren. So, and then here, okay, so the next question was how many grandchildren? So I have 3 grandchildren, and we just had one that's going to be about 2 months old tomorrow. So, so how long have y'all been married? I've been married 25 years. As of this last September. Okay. So there's very varying, right, statuses here. How many people live in your house right now, currently? And then how many pets? So currently I have 2 children that are still at home, a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old. The 17-year-old is going to graduate this year. And this is the one that always gets people. So I have 7 German Shepherds. I have 1 Great Pyrenees. I have Hank, and we don't know what Hank is. Hank is a medium-sized dog, and he's just Hank, so we don't know what he is. And then I have a Shih Tzu mix. We have 2 ducks. We have a gecko. 2 chihuahuas. And I think I'm done because we don't have any cows or anything this year. So, Chiweenies, I love Chiweenies. So I love cats, and we used to have 3 cats, but after COVID, I became allergic to cats. So we no longer can have cats. We do have outside cats. and skunks and just different animals. We used to have a bearded dragon, sugar gliders. Parrot. Allie, you're kind of exotic. Okay. So, how long have you worked as a CHW, paid or a volunteer? $30 years. Okay, I think that's the one that I've seen that's the most. Ixel, am I pronouncing your name right? 30 years?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. So my daughter's name is Hiplali. It's Xitlally, and people butcher it all the time. So she goes
Beautiful
by
name.
her middle name, Alexa. So I have been a CHW for a year. Well, a year and a half. Paid. And then I just got my instructor certification in June. And but like I said, I've always um been in the service of others in the medical field and in other areas. And I never considered it community health worker. I never considered that, just because it's what I did. I helped people out. If you didn't know where to get something, I would try to figure it out. I would, try to contact people. I just, I really wanted for people to be able to get the care that they need, or in whatever terms, even if it was immigration or if they needed an attorney or anything like that. Um, I was the kid in school that would pick up other people's fights. That's who I was. Like, I didn't have any fights. I wasn't, that kind of person. But if you were being picked on, I was going to be the one that was going to come to your aid. So I was always picking up other people's fights. So that last question to Unity, I want to change it a little bit. And how far do you all travel when you're doing your community health worker job? Do you guys go out to rural areas? Are y'all in city? Like, the furthest destination for me is about 3 hours that I travel sometimes. So I have 3 counties. And the furthest county is about 3 hours away. All over the state. Wow. Okay. All right. Next slide, Rebecca. Next slide, please. All right. So you have full schedule today with back-to-back work appointments. On the way to your last destination, you get stuck in traffic on the freeway. Your schedule does not allow for extra travel time. When you realize you are going to be late, you exit the freeway and start zipping through all the streets. All of a sudden, you see flashing lights behind you. It's the police. Not only have you received a speeding ticket now, but you are now even later to your last appointment. Could this day get any worse? So, which of the following factors considered a major contributor to burnout? A, getting stuck in traffic. B, excessive work schedule. C, speeding tickets. Or D, none of the above. Okay, great. B, an excessive work schedule. Next slide. So, an excessive work schedule. Having a work schedule that requires an excessive amount of work has unrealistic expectations of you, or does not allow you for adequate time to complete tasks, can lead to stress and eventually burnout. Make sure that your employer assigns you fair schedule with enough time included for safe travels and lunch breaks. Next one. Next slide, Rebecca.
Do you not want the next
Congratulations.
scenario?
This one, yeah, you're good. And you know what? Can everybody unmute, please, and give me your answers? I'd like to think that I'm in a room with y'all and I'm able to just hear what you all have to say. I like to chat, so y'all don't have to be quiet for me. Congratulations, you're a new mom. After 3 months of staying home with your baby, it is time for you to go back to work. As a community health worker, you are used to helping new moms in the community, but it is much harder than expected now that you are in their shoes. Your significant other tries to help out, but has to pick up extra shifts at work to provide more income for your growing family. With work chores, bills, cooking, lack of sleep, and taking care of a newborn, you are becoming overwhelmed. Which of the following factors considered a major contributor to burnout? Returning to work, a short maternity leave, work-life balance, high levels of demand in your work life. Everybody just tell me what you think it is.
Work-life balance.
Honestly,
Thank you.
all of them. I'm going to say D, high levels of demand in work and life.
Okay.
I say D as well.
Okay.
C. All of it.
Okay. So let's see what the answer is.
Ah.
High levels of demand in work and life, D. When you're faced with high levels of demand in both life and work, you are more likely to experience burnout. Try to schedule time for yourself or time to de-stress and take a break from your busy schedule. Find a babysitter, block in an hour of your day, and have fun indulging in you time. So what do y'all do to indulge yourself in you time?
Watch TV or read a book.
Meditate.
Okay.
I was gonna say meditate and I play mindless games.
I like to get pedicures.
Okay. Anybody else?
Massage.
The real answer, the political answer.
No, this is the real answer. Give me your real answer. This is, I don't need a political answer. I really want to know what you do because it could help others here.
No, I don't think this will help. Everybody that knows, I like to have a nice drink before I relax, before I hop in the tub.
there's a lot of people that get home and, they have a ritual. They drink wine, put a little music on. Um, and I believe that as long as you're not doing it with an excess, I think you're okay. I mean, I will tell you there was before, so in my past life for 15 years, I was a director of quality and compliance and regulatory services for the hospital that I worked at. There was one day that I came home, took a bottle of wine out of my refrigerator, sat down. My husband sat down with me, and I just poured myself. Didn't share. So he sat there with an empty glass, and he just listened. But it was so bad that day, and I was so stressed. And I think I was getting to my burnout point that I did drink the whole bottle. Now, mind you, I don't drink. Like I'm not a social drinker. I'm not. Um, and then that knocked me out, so I went to sleep. Um, but there was nothing else that seemed to, and I like sweet wines, so, um, but that's not an everyday thing for me. Um, I like pedicures, and for the longest time as a mom of 6, um, pedicures were non-existent because, um, you know, I think they were $30 back then, they're $50 now. Um, with those $50, I could, get shoes for my kids or socks or underwear, or maybe we needed something at the house, or, there was something somebody else needed always other than me. And so I had to really work on putting myself first. And a lot of people say that's selfish, but if mama ain't happy, then no one is, right? Um, so, and a lot of people are like, find a babysitter. I mean, that's find a babysitter to take time for me. Like, why would I do that? Right? Um, and so I try to educate my young moms about taking some time and not trying to do all of it themselves as well. Um, and it and while I say I try to educate my new moms, I also try to educate my older moms about that as well, because even though a lot of them have, teenagers, like I have a 14 and a 17-year-old, and I think I've done well because I don't come home and cook anymore. They cook for themselves. The 17-year-old drives and takes the 14-year-old where he needs to go. And you'd think I would have it a lot easier. And while I do, I've replaced those responsibilities with others, right? So it's being mindful of what you're doing and how much you're taking on, and know that it's okay to take a break because everything will be here tomorrow. Nothing's going away, unless you're going to take some steps to make it go away. But everything will be there this afternoon. Everything will be there tomorrow, unless it's an emergency, of course, then, take care of it. But, if it doesn't affect somebody's, um, security or health, then it can wait, right? Next slide, please.
I have a question though, on
Yeah.
that. What is the difference between um the work life, the balance of work and home, and the correct answer D? Is it just because there might be an increased caseload while you're out, or what's the difference between C and D?
Okay. So because a lot of us community health workers, you're really born, right? You're born as a community health worker, and I say that because you have to have a servant's heart to be in this job, or else you're not going to find any kind of fulfillment in it. Or you're in it because something happened in your life, and you saw this as a purpose. So many of us, when we come home, we don't leave work at an office. So like I work from home, and if you text me at 9 o'clock at night telling me that you need something or that whatever, I do not know how to say, okay, you know what? I'll 8 o'clock tomorrow. I'm with you. Like, but right now it's 9 o'clock. Um, and so that's something that I'm having to learn, and something that it's my work life balance. So I've gotten pretty good about um my phone goes to sleep at 10, and unless it's my kids, no calls or messages come through. And that was one of the hardest things that I had to do, because I'm there for everybody. So that was a work life balance that I had to do on weekends. Um, I had to learn to do that as well. I do not answer messages or emails, um, or even some calls. You know, they'll call me on the weekend and say, "Hey, can you?" And I'll be like, "Yep, first thing Monday morning, I can do that for you." Um, so I had to learn to say, "This is the weekend. I don't work. I work Monday through Friday," because I was on constantly. Um, and by default, I'm a workaholic, and many of us are. So that's the difference. I mean, it's just, I don't know if that answered your question or not.
Yeah, no, I just, I mean, a lot of us said see the work-life balance, and then it just indeed just seems like it was more intense. Was that intensity because you didn't plan ahead while you were off on off on your maternity leave or whatever? Because for me, anything could be any type of work-life balance, whether it's intense or just regular, could be a trigger for stressors.
Hmm.
But that's okay. I mean, I understand. I understand.
No, can you go back, Rebecca, please? Go back one more.
So work-life balance and the level of demand in work and life. I mean, what I heard you say was the high level came as a result of returning to work after an event in the family, right? But
Right.
but it could also be you're overwhelmed with your regular work-life balance as it is,
Hmm.
because you do, as a CHW, take on so many additional um, issues within the community, within your own families or whatever. At the same time, like you said, somebody call you at 9 o'clock, somebody could call you whatever. I'm just like you. Anybody can call me any time of night. I had a lady call me one time at 3 o'clock in the morning. She had COVID and she needed some juice. And she was a 70-year-old lady living by herself. And so, and then, that just gets that's 3 o'clock in the morning. I had to drive an hour to her house and then an hour back home. So that's now 5. And then, coming
Then
back
your
home,
day
get ready
starts.
for work. Yeah,
Yeah.
your day's really started. And so, I
Hmm.
mean, that too. So I just didn't know if there was something that was different other than the life event. But okay, I got it.
No, so all of these, like, many of y'all said, all of these factors could be part of burnout, but the work-life balance, and the high levels of demand in work in your life, um, we see those better. And sometimes we don't. Sometimes we don't see the demand because it's like I said, I think many of us at Nashua, we were talking and it's like, well, it's just what I do. So you
Right.
you don't see that demand, because it's what you do. It's your everyday, it's ingrained into you, so you don't see it. But sometimes they are high levels of demand.
Right.
But
I
all
got
of those could have been correct answers.
you.
Let's go, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. After recent decline in your community's economy, there's a discussion about budget cuts in the hospital that you work for. The hospital CHW program is already underfunded with limited resources, including outdated electronics, a lack of educational materials, and an inability to reimburse you for your travels. How much more could Could our budget be reduced? You begin to wonder, will there be lays off soon? Everyone in the office seems to just be worried as you are. Which of the following factors is considered a major contributor to burnout? So a balanced work schedule, rumors at work, lack of job security, or all of the above?
All of the above.
All the above.
All.
Lack of job security. So low job security can be stressful and it is considered a leading cause of burnout. Sometimes there is little you can do about job security, but you can be prepared by saving emergency funds that can support you until you find another job. Okay, so let's be a little realistic here, right? Because most CHWs do not get paid enough to be able to save for an emergency. And then a lot of the times we do not have the budget for, extra things. Uh, sometimes when I have meetings, the meal comes out of my pocket. Like if you need juice, if somebody needs juice, sometimes that would come out of my pocket. So different things that, just like being reimbursed for travel. I mean, gas is expensive, car insurance is expensive. Um, so things like that, it's like, how do you save for that? How do you save on salary that is already minimal? How do you save, for those emergencies? And then the reality is that not many people know what CHWs do. Even employers, people hire CHWs, but they really do not know what they do. And so we're not considered as vital to say, oh, we have to keep them. And there is really no, I mean, the job security, I think, would be high stress when you go to every day to work and you don't know if, they're going to lay you off or they're going to, fire you or, your hours are going to be reduced. Next slide. So the presentation overview is define burnout and work-related stress, factors leading to burnout, effects of burnout, reducing work-related stress, define self-care, organization strategies for home life, resource and references. Next slide. The objectives are define burnout, related stress, list of common factors leading to burnout of CHWs, list the effects of burnout, describe methods of reducing stress related to work, define self-care, describe the importance of self-care, identify and discuss organization strategies that can be used in the home life. Burnout and work-related stress. So burnout is a state of both emotional and physical depletion due to a prolonged response to chronic interpersonal stressors on the job. Work-related stress is a combination of on-the-job stressors that contribute to poor work experience. So I left my 15-year job because I really liked what I did. But because I was a dependable employee, and people kept leaving the hospital where I worked at. My boss, instead of hiring people, she would distribute whatever job the other people have that were leaving to other people. And it got to the point where I was sitting outside of work about 30 minutes in my car, just on TikTok, social media, listening to music. And I really had to talk myself into going into my office. Once I was there, I would not, because I knew that once I left, I would not want to come back. So I would take my lunch, or I'd have somebody drop me off lunch. And I just, I just knew. I was like, if I leave, I don't want to come back. So it took me, I would say about a year to realize I was burned out. And it was just a constant of doing this, right? And I didn't think, there was anything wrong with what I was doing. I didn't think, I just thought, I'm tired. It's been a bad week. It's been a bad month. It's gonna get better. Maybe, today she'll hire somebody. So I had a bunch of excuses, but I never realized it was burnout because nobody had ever talked to me about what burnout looks like. I knew what work-related stress looked like. Um, and then another thing is that my mini me, my daughter, she's 23, and I call her my mini me because she's very much like me. So she actually started calling me out at home when I was in a bad mood, because it got to the point where I couldn't leave it at work. I'd come home and I'd carry it and I'd be in a bad mood, or, it was just a reaction. Um, how many of you have had similar situations? Rebecca? Anybody else?
I definitely had that. And a long time ago, one of my mentors mentioned that the way she realized that it was happening is because her dog was acting different around her. And so I started paying attention. I definitely feel more stressed and lose my patience quicker when I'm about to explode, when I'm really overwhelmed with everything.
I definitely had burnout at a job I worked prior to this one. I worked at a financial institution for like 15 years, and by the end, I just dreaded going. Really bad Sunday night blues, but even more than that, just every morning, I just didn't want to go.
So, how long did it take those of you that have had similar experiences to realize that, crap, there's something wrong, right? That this is not normal, or that it's okay to even acknowledge the fact that it's not okay?
I don't know that the reason I finally left was due to something totally different. Our local school got shut down, so my kids were being bused to a different school, and I didn't want to be so far away from them, so I looked for a job closer to them. So I don't know, had that not happened, how long I would have just stayed miserable, honestly. Because it's like the main, the like first job I had as an adult, and I had been working there my entire adult life, and it just got to the point where it just became normal.
Yeah.
Once I left, I realized that I should have left a lot earlier. woke me up and I was like, why did I do that to myself for so long?
Mm-hmm.
But I think I just became
Next slide,
normal
please.
and
I think it also
Yeah,
do.
so go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I think it also is based on the support you have outside of the work. And if you're asking questions, if you can have those kind of conversations with your supervisor, whoever, you know, that situation where they were saying they were hearing the rumor, would they feel comfortable going or whatever? I think there's several factors as to when somebody would do it.
Can I
Next
share
slide, please.
something?
Yes, of course.
Something that I think for me has been very obvious, but I have a really hard time setting the boundary because not only because I love what I do and I feel like my team needs support, but also I think my background culturally, we are taught to just be always a service, and we're not being taught to have healthy boundaries and take care of ourselves. So we definitely are growth thinking that we are the service of everyone, and everyone needs to be everyone needs to be taken care of. So that's something that I try very consciously to the program from, but it hasn't been easier. I mean, that's the hard part. Is like I'm aware, but I'm really not doing much to change it because it's very hard.
So one of the things that I have also found is that yes, culturally, I'm in that same boat with you. But not only that, I think it's in the generation, for me it's in the generation that I was raised. You had loyalty, you had to your job, you were the job. And I took that very seriously because if anything had my name to it, it had to be perfect. Especially when you work in the medical field, you know, when everybody is so happy and I had a lot of responsibility and the responsibility of keeping the hospital going, with the compliance and the regulations and a lot of legality of it. Um, I was going to be 100% on top of it, if my name was going to go on it. Um, and one of the reasons that I had such a hard time leaving was I had left before. I had left probably 6 years into the hospital and I got called back. One of the providers and I had a great relationship, but I did a lot for him. Like, I did a lot for him. Like, I knew all his passwords. I knew his 401k passwords. I knew his investment passwords. I knew, and he was like a dad to me. He was a really good mentor as well. Um, and I had made a promise to him. I had made a promise that I would leave when he retired. Well, I left, and guess what? He's still there. And when I left, when I gave my notice, because I gave a 3-month notice actually, um, I had to go talk to him and make sure he was going to be all right with me leaving. That was wrong. That was a boundary that I should have set a long time ago. And I think that I did for that hospital that nobody else knew how to do, and I was so worried about, well, who's going to do it? You know, who's going to do it? My aha moment for me was when I went to a conference. It was a credentialing conference, and um, there was somebody there that had offered me a job, and I was like, no, I can't. And so they were like, I really hope that your boss appreciates the type of employee that you are, um, and I hope she has contingency plan if something ever happens to you. And I just kind of looked at her. And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "If you were to walk out of work one day and get run over by a bus," she's like, somebody's going to have to pick up everything that you do that you think nobody else can do. So, that really got me thinking. She's right. I mean, nobody's for sure. I mean, you can die within the next minute and your job is going to replace you. So sometimes we have misplaced loyalty and misplaced responsibility and we confuse the things. So, boundaries are important. Next slide, please. So, part of the factors for burnout are working in a service job, excessive work schedule, lack of job security, high levels of demand, poor work relationships. So, what are these effects? Overwhelming exhaustion, feeling of cynicism and distrust, detachment from job, sense of failure and ineffectiveness, decreased work productivity. I went through all of those within that last year. Next slide. So preventing work-related stress. The number one suggestion, interview potential employer just as they interview you. Make sure that the company you're applying for is a good fit for you. So how many of us, for me, it was, yeah, I have 6 kids. I need to work. Please hire me. I have an education, and sometimes it's not that I forget I have an education. It's just that I'm going to do what I have to do to support my family. So even though I have a biochemistry degree, if the only thing to do is to wash dishes, I'm going to wash dishes. Okay. So I didn't know because nobody taught me that I was supposed to be asking questions when I was younger, that I was, that it was so much, that it was not just the company interviewing me, but that I could ask questions and interview them as well. Make sure that you receive proper on-the-job training when you start a new job so that you can be better prepared for the job's demands. How many of y'all just get thrown into stuff? How many of y'all are like, oh, you know what? I need you to do this. Never done it before in your life. You know how it's done because you've seen other people do it, but now you're just thrown in there. How many of y'all have gone through that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Review your work objectives to ensure that you are aware of everything that must be accomplished and the deadlines for each task. So one of the things that I have, 3 of the things that I have implemented. One is, in my life, I interview my employers. And, because of learned experience, I know what to ask. I put scenarios in this interview, and they get really uncomfortable because then this interview goes a lot longer than they thought it would go. And they're not used to, someone interviewing them. Whenever I get thrown into a job, I always say, okay, I'm willing to help you out, but you need to remember that I have not been trained to do this job. I do not have the experience for this job, or or are you expecting this to be more than just today? And when I review my work objectives with my boss, I do this through email. And the reason I've started doing it through email is because people tend to forget conversations. So, um, and it's a teach back moment, because it's like, I'll email and I say, okay, so this is what you're asking me to do. Just to clarify, this is what you're asking me to do, and I'll list things, if we've had conversations and so forth. And then this will keep going. And sometimes they'll want to talk to me instead of email me back. And I always say, you know what, can you just put that in the email so that you and I are clear and we can reference it? So that's something, and that's part of setting boundaries. Because I do not ever want to get into a situation where I do not know if I'm supposed to do it. There's not really clear if, I'm supposed to continue to do this. So that for me lightens the load a little bit because I have it in writing. Next slide, please. Reducing work-related stress. Take advantage of any additional on-the-job training or continuing education opportunities that are available to you. Remain assertive. Make requests at work that will make your job better. For example, request a 15-minute break around 3 p.m. to go walk outside because this is the time of the day that you get that you tend to get tired. Using positive coping mechanisms to de-stress, such as meditation, hobbies, building positive relationships, networks with colleagues. Does anybody else have any other suggestions to reduce work-related stress?
I just set boundaries. What time I'm here and what time I'm not. And then I told myself that I'm not allowed to think about it or do anything about it out of that time zone.
So a huge one for me was taking my lunch, right? Because especially when you're stuck in an office, time sometimes just escapes you. I started putting alarms on my phone. Because other employees in the administrative suite would leave, they would go get coffee, whatever. And for some reason, I was always stuck answering the phones, answering questions, because I was the one there all the time. So I had to make an effort to set alarms on my phone, to get up, walk around, go get coffee, um, go visit the other departments to see how they were doing. Um, just more than once, a day. Um, and this helped in several different areas in my life and work life because one, I was getting up and getting some physical activity because it's not good for you to sit all day. Two, I was getting some contact, person-to-person contact with people. And sometimes when we work in an office, we forget that we're social beings, even if you're so antisocial. I mean, at some point or another, just saying hello to somebody will help. Um, my dogs are my hobbies. But building those positive relationships and networks with colleagues, um, that's what I did whenever I set my alarms to go walk. Um, and I'd make sure I'd get breakfast and lunch. And probably before an hour, my job was 9 to 5, but I was always there early and left late. So I started leaving at 4:30. When my kids got out of school, I made that a point. And at about 3 o'clock, I would go into my boss's office and be like, okay, I'm leaving within the next hour. What is it that do you need anything from me? Because it never failed that as I was walking out that door, she would holler for me. So I had to set that boundary. Next slide, please. American Psychological Association study, and this is in 2011, surveyed 1,546 adults in the United States. 36% were feeling tense or stressed at work. 20% rated their stress at a high level. 44% intended to leave their job. Next slide. Self-care for CHWs. Self-care is daily activities we perform in order to look after ourselves. Self-care is critical in the workplace, including self-awareness, self-regulation, or coping, and a balancing of self and others' interest. Programs designed to teach self-care skills to professional trainees, i.e. new hires, may represent an important form of preventive treatment for individuals at risk for later psychological problems as healthcare providers. Next slide, please. Organizational strategies for home life. Healthy eating, exercise, organization, cleaning, relationships. So as a CHW, and I work from home, healthy eating is hard sometimes because, I'm out on the road. And so there are 4 obesity genes. And I was tested and I have 2. One of those makes me binge eat or feel like I'm never full. The other one, I do not know when I'm hungry. And I know that is a weird combination, but one day I will just forget to eat. I know I drink water because my mouth is, dry, or I'm super thirsty, or I start coughing. But like as of right now, it is 12 o'clock my time. Um, still time for breakfast yet. I've had coffee and that's about it. So I have a ton of alarms that I've realized I've had to set. Same thing with exercise. I can come into my office, sit here, and I can work. And before you know it, it's dark outside. If nobody comes in and bothers me, I will rarely get up. So what I've had to do is I've set alarms, and I bring one of my dogs inside here with me because they have a schedule. And so they need to go to the bathroom and they'll let me know. So I make it a point to go out there with them. Organization, cleaning. You would think that with 2 kids in the house, cleaning would be, easy. And it is because they help me, but I have so much stuff for my health fairs. I have so much, paperwork. And sometimes I have 3 or 4 events in a week. And so I just come to my office, pile stuff, take it, put it in my truck, go, come back, get ready for the next one. And by the weekend, I walk into my office and it's full. One of the things that I have to do is reorganize myself. I could, some tips that I used to do when the kids were little, I need to go back to do that in cleaning. Relationships, I usually do not have an issue with that. I'm very blessed to have great relationship with my kids, my husband. I've grown a lot. I used to be the type of person that if I didn't like you, I didn't like you, and that was it. I was done. Um, but that's not always right. So I've had to do a lot of self education. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about healthy eating habits and exercise, organization, cleaning, and relationships as pertaining to your life. Anybody want to say how they're doing? Or any tips and tricks?
Okay, I'll go. So, this is Amber. So, organization for my home life. So my home life has kind of been a little disrupted lately. So I left my job. I left my job of 3 years at Walmart Health. And at the same time, I was helping my oldest daughter with her children, with my grandchildren, and attending the trial of my youngest son, people who murdered my youngest son. So I say all that to say, in the midst of a month, and I had a car breakdown. So in the midst of a month, I attended a trial and didn't come out the way I wanted it to come out. I quit my job, got a new job with my daughter. She gave me 24 hours. She was moving. So I had to quickly do something. And then with my car broke down, she bought a new car. So I just took over a car that I helped her buy and found out that she was 4 months behind in payments. So my home life has really been, what I learned from someone else was their crisis is not my emergency. So just breathe and have faith, right? And I have healthy eating. I've gone to smoothies and juicing and just buying books and following just a plan. I'm trying to go without meat. Exercise, I try to get up and walk in the morning. I'm going to join a gym now that I'm kind of stationary in a move. I switched the organization that I work for. I left, like I said, I left Walmart Health, which had been a struggle because they do not understand what it is to be a community health worker. And went to an organization that fully supports me and my efforts. And I'm also the chair of the Georgia Community Health Work Network. And then cleaning, I just clean house, period. I just had to clean, change my circle, change my relationships, right? So put me first. So it's always a work in progress, but I'm good. I'm really at peace. I'm good. I'm good because I know
So you said
Uh-huh.
something really important. Their crisis is not your crisis,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so as a community health worker, that's a really hard boundary for us.
Yep.
Because we're used to dealing with crisis. And then if you're a mom, if or if you're taking care of your parents or you're taking care of anybody else, we tend to absorb this stuff. So I'm going to be the first one to tell y'all, I work awesome under stress. Last minute deadlines. I hate them. I hate last minute stuff, but I think I do my best for that was my thing. So yeah. Next slide, Rebecca, because I know we're over time here, so I need to. Healthy eating. Make breakfast a habit. Lead by example. Meal prep. Educate your kids on healthy eating. Enjoy meals together. Make meals more colorful. We make it a point to have dinner together when we can because kids are they're really, really busy. I used to meal prep a lot. And as a Hispanic, my meals are colorful. So, next slide, please. Exercise. Work around your current schedule. Get the whole family involved. Hold each other accountable. Work out with other ladies. Alter your workouts with each stage of life. Next slide, please. Organization. Have a file bin for each family member so papers are easy to find. Keep track of medication doses by writing on the bottle. Keep an empty tissue box next to a new tissue box to collect dirty tissues. Have a place to write down daily, weekly reminders where the whole family can see. On the go, utilize your trunk space by keeping essentials for travel and emergencies. My truck is like this. I have a 2-cab truck, and there's stuff in the back of my truck, and there's stuff in the trunk of my truck. And it's because I just don't know who I'll meet and what they'll need, and I try to carry everything. And Fridays, it's unloading that so that we can use it during the weekend. My kids love that. Next slide, please. Cleaning. Redefine clean. Do a little do before list. Add it to your babysitter's responsibility. Clean as a family. Hire help. The one-touch rule. So now that I've been working remotely and can kind of set my own hours, I've been trying to go through closets and been trying to just do some cleaning and things like that. I did teach the kids to spot mop. They get the Swiffer and they spot mop, and that kind of helps the floors be clean because we have tile before the weekend cleaning. There are wipes in the bathroom, and they wipe down the bathroom whenever they use it. I do have a spray bottle in the shower, and it's sprayed after somebody's done showering. I do not have a dishwasher, so my kids were taught to wash your dish after you're done eating. And that's been recently, y'all. It hasn't been all my life because I'm a caretaker, and there was a point where I was doing everybody's laundry, I was doing everybody's dishes. Just like at work, I was trying to do everything for everybody, and then I figured out that I was doing a disservice to my kids and to my fellow workers because my thing was, if somebody did not know how to do something, I would do it for them. I'd be like, I'll just do it. I'll just do it. Instead of educating somebody on how to do it or explaining how it needs to be done. And it wasn't because I had anything wrong, because I thought they couldn't do it. It was because I just thought, I can do it much quicker because I know how to do it and we'll save ourselves some time. But I was doing a disservice to my fellow employees and to my family as well with not teaching them. So next slide, please. Relationships. Have time to spend with each family member individually. Set aside time for your partner. Try to make time to do something fun with the family regularly. Make some decisions together as a family. Be open to talking about difficult things. Share household chores. Set family rules. Share family stories, memories, pictures with each other every now and then. Attend faith-based events as a family and discuss what everyone learned afterwards. That's Dr. St. John's personal family advice. I'm not super religious. I do believe in God. That's all I'm going to say about that. We do have a lot of difficult conversations. We have, if you're in my household, you've had STD conversation. We've had pregnancy conversations. We had sex ed education, and all these are with pictures and everything else because I don't sugarcoat things. We have gone from giving presents for birthdays and such to giving experiences. And they don't have to be super expensive. They can be in town or, could just be a restaurant that the kids are wanting to try out or something. So it's little changes, right? It doesn't even have to be huge changes. We all do share household chores. Um, the set aside time for your partner. So my husband and I used to call our dates whenever we would go to Walmart. Those were our date nights. Um, the kids, they would stay home or whatever, or we'd leave them with the babysitter. We'd go to Walmart and then we'd go to McDonald's and get some coffee and the the apple pies, and that was our date. Then we started doing more and more to be able to eat your full meal warm without interruptions. Like that's the best feeling ever. And to be able to drink my coffee hot without me having to attend to somebody else's crisis. So it's just little things. Next slide, please. So there's some resources here, helpguide.org. The CDC has some articles on stress as well. Next slide. So any questions, comments, suggestions? No? All right. Thank you all very much. I think that Rebecca's gonna she can send out my email with this. Um, I can certainly anything, tips, tricks. If you want a safe space to talk about anything that's going on at work and you want a different perspective, or if you just want somebody to listen, please feel free to email me and we can come up with a time to discuss it. I'm not a mental health expert, but I do know how to listen. So yeah, I'm available to y'all if y'all need me. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm having Thanksgiving dinner tonight, so stuff is cooking. So I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving week if you're off for the rest of the week, or if you're just off tomorrow, then I hope you have a great time. And if there's nothing else, no questions, then have a good evening.
I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody that's here. I hope you enjoy your family and your friends. You get a break, that maybe you find a little joy, you find some of your quiet. I do have 2 one-pagers that I can send out to you guys that Erica had sent with me about preventing burnout, as well as CHW working mom tips. So I will send those out in an email to everybody that was on the call. If there's anything else you need, let me know. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And on the note of your question, I had to laugh when you said what your date night is with your spouse. So my husband and I laugh our date night because for those of you who don't know, I have 3 small children. I have an 11-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 6-year-old. So our funny joke all summer was our date night was when we could sit in the garage in a folding chair and not be asked for a popsicle. So that was our big joke.
It's
I'm like,
the
"Ooh,
little
we're
things.
dating now."
It's the little things, honestly. It is, and it's hard. It's hard to put that time, and it's hard to connect once kids come, and our main job as mothers when they're that small is to keep them alive, because toddlers have a death wish. So yeah, I mean, you're if you have toddlers, my heart goes out to you. Our kids are 3 years apart, so yeah. And we did that to ourselves, let me tell you. So but I'm very blessed. My kids are great now. Not that they were really bad back then, it was just there were so many of them. But Yeah, setting out that time, you know, for you and your spouse or just you. You know, I honestly, when my kids were smaller, I would read a lot more than I do now. And it's because my kids understood that when I had my book out, that was my me time. And it's either you go get your own book and we're going to read, if you want to spend time with me, or you know what, figure it out. Because that's the only way I could get my brain to quiet down for a little bit. So, yeah, McDonald's, Walmart, and apple pies were great.
Well, thank you everybody so very much.
Thank
and I
y'all.
hope you
Have a
all
good
do
Thanksgiving.
something really fun on Thanksgiving. I'm going to be in a car for 7 hours tomorrow before I get to Thanksgiving.
Oh, look at you. So Rebecca, I am coming to Michigan in December 2nd. So I hope to see you. I'll be there from the 2nd to the 5th.
Okay, I'm writing that down.
Okay.
Because that way, if you're on my calendar, I find time for you. That's another thing I taught
everybody
my
from
kids.
Michigan, everybody from Michigan, we're going to be there.
I have a dry erase board in my kitchen that I told my kids, I'm like, if you want to talk to mom or you need something from mom, you need to pencil it in. So when I look at it, there'll be H's for my youngest, there'll be G's for my middle child, and then Eleanor just fills in all of her activities. But I eventually find all the time. Thank you so much. I will not keep any of you any longer.
All right. Have a great day.
I hope you guys have a blessed holiday season and enjoy your friends and family and enjoy your communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.